Hi everyone, today's video is an exciting video. It's an exciting day because I have an empty in my entire makeup collection rolling project pan. If you've been here for the long haul, you'll know I've been doing this project for 2 years, over that. So yeah, this has been a long drawn out project. I randomly drew 10 items from my makeup collection. Once I completely use them up, I'll draw on a new one and I'm going to keep it going until I have used up 10 items. Then I'll start it all over from scratch. So I was at 8 products before today and I used up my 9th item. And if you watched my most recent update, you might not be surprised. It's from the Maya Mia palette and it is the shade Deep Brown. So Deep Brown was this really beautiful chocolatey cool tone eyeshadow that I used in my eyebrows every single day, and it took me forever and a day to use it up, but it is completely gone. Like, can we just take a moment, appreciate that pan? I certainly do. So now that I've used that up, it's out of this project. I had to look at this palette. You know, we're missing a shade now. So of the remaining 9 shades, is it still intriguing? Do I still want to keep it? Is it worth it to me? And I do think I am still intrigued by it. I still like it. I think it's a really warm tone palette, which I personally don't really own that many. I know it's like a very popular and a lot of people have all of them. I don't. I have the Too Faced Gingerbread palette, and I think that's the only really warm tone palette I own. Oh, and the Lime Crime Venus palette, the original. So this I think will be a nice addition to my collection, and I like some of these shades. So I am going to be keeping it in my collection, but it's empty. It's out of this project, and that means that we get to draw a new item, which is the most exciting. It also means that I'm down to 9 items, or I've used up 9 items in my collection in this. I'm not being very articulate. What it means is that I've used up 9 items in this project. And so once I use up one more item, I will be finished with this project. I will definitely be decluttering some of these items because after using them for almost 2 years, sporadically, I've decided how I feel about them. And some of them I don't feel very positively about, and I've decided I don't want it anymore. And some of them I've fallen in love with. So I'm gonna go through and show you my progress on all of them and get weights, and then we will go from there. We'll draw a new item. That's what we're gonna do. I'm sorry, I don't know why I can't think today. So first we have the Tarte Magic Star palette. And I've been using it and I've been really enjoying it. Now if you're new here, you might not know everything that's in this project is currently on my face because that's what I always do on updates. So here's this beautiful palette, and I'm actually working on the shade Getaway, which is this nice light tan. I have that on my lower lash line as a transition shade because I needed a transition shade. It's a really pretty tan transition shade. It's really close to my skin tone, though slightly darker, and I really like it. I think it's a great shade. Big fan. Love this palette. This has not changed in weight. It still weighs 382 grams. I should have checked this before. I think I might have pictures. I don't know why I didn't check this before. Oh, I do. Okay. Let me show y'all some comparison pictures. Sorry, I'm not the most together. So this is where I did an update. It wasn't last week. It might have been 2 weeks ago. So, you know, the pictures aren't going to be that different. But that's where I was last week. This is where I am today. You know, we've got a little bit more progress, I would say. Just a little bit, not a ton. All right. The next item is the Stila Eyes Are the Window. Or no, sorry, the Stila Tin Pan eyeshadow. And this is where I was last time, and this is where I am this time. So again, not a ton of progress. I really like this as a liner only. Trying to use it as an outer corner shade, it's just way too patchy and gross. I do have it today on my lower lash line. I think it looks nice there. It works for that. And yeah, I mean, I've made some progress, but these are huge. These are 2.6 grams a piece. So there we go. I'll be working. Oh, I should swatch this. And you can even see in the swatch, it's just not the best quality. I got this on Haute, and I've just kind of decided I'm not buying things on Haute or from TJ Maxx. Yeah, you can get great deals, and sometimes there are like newer products, but a lot of times they're old and they gross me out. And I know how long it takes to use up makeup, and I don't want to be bringing in items that are already kind of old. So for me personally, I know other people have completely opposite opinions, and that's cool. You do you, man. Whatever works for you. But for me, I don't want to do that. So, it might have been old when I got it, was the point of that. But there you go. And that weighs the same. I think everything weighs the same. Everything weighs the same, so I'm not going to necessarily update you on the weight because I just feel like it's redundant at this point. Next, we have the L'Oreal Color Riche eyeshadow. I have this on my lid today. So that like greeny shade is right here. You can see on the lid it looks a lot more like bright green than it does this teal, and it takes some building up, y'all. It does not have a lot of good pigment in this shade. And it's just not. I have other shades that are pretty much the same shade from other brands, and they're just a lot better. But I do like this this light shade. It's a really nice highlighter. So there we go. I'm working on it. I do have a really big dip, and compared to last time, I feel like I'm so close to hitting pan. If you would like a comparison photo, there you go. I don't feel like there's that much of a difference, unfortunately. Next, we have the Paula's Choice Blush It On Contour Kit. We have the shade Soft Mauve right there. And this is where I was last time. So I have made, if you look here, which is at the bottom of this picture, it is closer to the pan, to the edge of the pan, I guess. So that's exciting. I have made some progress. I have this blush on today. It's a beautiful blush. I love this palette. So I recently did a ranking all of my Chic palette videos, and this went pretty near the top. So I think that's pretty good. Next item we have is the Kat Von D Esperanza palette, one of my oldest palettes. And I have the shade Dog Roses, and I don't think I've really made a lot of progress. Again, it's only been like 2 weeks, so for eyeshadows, I wouldn't expect there to be a ton of progress. This is a beautiful copper glitter bomb, and I love it. I just do. I think it's a lovely, lovely shade. I have it in my crease today, which is the first time I've worn it like this. I don't think it really shows its beauty in the crease, but I think it works. It does all right. So, you know, there could be worse, but it's a beautiful shade, and I really like it. So, the next thing is the Geek Chic Cosmetics Awesome Mix Pigment Set, or Pigment, in the shade Ain't Nothing Like Me. So, this came from the Guardians of the Galaxy Pigment Set by Geek Chic Cosmetics. I just don't really like this pigment. I have it on as my liner today, and it works fine for my liner. Don't get me wrong. And in a swatch, it's stunning because it's really metallic. But when you try, let me see if I can show you. Hold on, I gotta close it up before I get this dark brown pigment everywhere. When you try to blend it, it loses its metallicness. So if you're like putting it on the lid, you know, and just like blending it, it loses all of that metallicness in like a very patchy, not flattering way. So I don't really like it in use as much as I do in swatch. Next, we have the Tarteist Pro palette. I do, oh, I lost my pictures. Sorry, there we go. I do have pan on this palette. I did last time as well. There we go. Here's our comparison photo. It's not the best photo because it is such a metallic palette. It's hard to get a good photo. But I like this. No, I'm sorry. I use this I don't really like it. I use this today as my brow, and it is too warm, but I went over it with the Ulta brow tint in deep, and with that, I do think it works. Yeah, I don't think it looks too warm, but usually it is too warm, so that's probably how I'll continue to use it, depending on what we draw today. Next, we have the Urban Decay Smoked palette, and we have the shade Freestyle, and here we are. I don't know that you can see that much difference, but I have used it. I use this also as a transition shade. I didn't swatch, but it's a lot. You can't even see. It's almost the exact same color as my hand, whereas the Getaway one is a little bit deeper. So, I do like this palette though, so that's good. Making some progress. And last but not least, we have the Stila Eyes Are the Window Body palette. I used this, what? Okay, sorry. I use this as a liner frequently. And you can see, I think that pan has grown ever so slightly. I have it actually as in the outer corner today, and you can see it is patchy. I don't like the way that looks. This side looks better. I always have one side of my makeup that looks better. But I have been working on this. This beautiful green glitter that you see in the swatch does not show up, unfortunately, on the lid, and it's just a really dark, dark blue. So those are the 9 items I'm going to continue to work on. And we're going to draw a new one. We're going to draw a new one. And hopefully, I still am enjoying this project. I don't want to end it by any means because I want to use up 10 items and I want to restart it. But because some of these items I've had in here since pretty much the beginning, I am ready to refresh this project. And I don't want to do that in the middle. You know, I've had people say that, or I've had people suggest that I should limit myself, like only be able to have 8 eyeshadows in this project or something. But I don't want to do that because I think as is, it's a lot more reflective of my actual makeup collection. I do have so much more eyeshadow than anything else, so it makes sense that I'm drawing more. And yeah, a lot of them are neutral, but again, it makes sense if I actually have more neutrals. Now, that's not always the case because it is random, but I'm just saying in general. So, I'm going to go ahead and draw an item. 680, that's an eyeshadow palette, almost positive. So that's not probably going to be something that I can use up pretty quickly, because most of my eyeshadows are still pretty new. 680. Okay, so actually this is something that I have worked on recently, but it's new. It's not new. Where is this palette? It's not a new palette. It's a palette that doesn't have a lot of work on it, a lot of use out of it, which isn't good because it's not new. I think it's from the 2016 holiday collection. And 680 is what I drew. So that's ME232. Okay. Here we are. This is the Makeup Forever 9-pan artist palette. If you watch me, then you know I very recently drew this in a weekly product pan and used it and loved it. So I know I like this. The shade I drew was this middle shade right here. Now this is interesting, because this is what this should be. Not necessarily should. This is a lot more expensive, but this is like a much better version of this eyeshadow. So that's an interesting one to incorporate into this project. These pans, how big are they? I think they're 1.8 grams. And as you can probably see, there's not a very big dip in this. So we're gonna be here for a while. Which is okay. I mean, like, I guess this sounds bad. I'm not trying to sound defeated because I do love this project and I want to keep it going. I would like to be able to start over relatively soon. But what do I think will be the next one to use up? I think it'll honestly probably be either this shadow, because I've got a decent amount of pan, but also like the sides I've worked pretty well on. And I can use that any day because it's just a transition. Or maybe this blush, because similarly the sides are pretty worn down and that's a big hunk of pan. So one of those two will probably be the next thing I use up, but I'll keep updating you. I've started doing monthly updates and I get a lot of good feedback from that. And whenever I do an update, I make sure I use these items, so it just makes me make sure that I'm using them at least once a month, which is good because some of these things I don't use that as often as I should. So yeah, I'll be incorporating this palette into my life now and get some use out of it, and we'll see what happens. So I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, if you have any questions, requests, suggestions, or comments, go ahead and leave those down below, and I'll see you real soon. Bye. Oh.